Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. So I sent out a survey to our awesome tribe and got hundreds of responses of what it is that you're struggling with. And one of the biggest things that kept coming up over and over again is productivity. And so today we're talking about productivity and I am answering all of your questions. So I've got my mushroom tea, my water, and I'm wearing a baby who is sound asleep. By the way, mushroom tea sounds delicious. I swear it's so good. Organifi, chocolate gold. Oh, amazing. Okay, we're talking productivity. So, question one, where should I focus my time? Loaded question. Biggest thing I would do is making sure that you're creating content on platforms that are evergreen, aka don't disappear after 24 hours. So I would be focusing on your blog and Pinterest would be the number one thing, creating content there that's going to be high value driven, and or a podcast and or a YouTube channel. But I would definitely make sure you're creating some form of content that's going to lead people to helping you build your email list. So if I were to have like one thing that I could do in a day, it would be creating some form of content that's going to lead people to sign up for a freebie to get them on my email list. Best way to do all the things without driving myself crazy. Don't try to do all the things. You can't. Figure out what your zone of genius is, what it is that you're really good at, and what are the things that only you could do, and do your best just to stay in your lane and to stay in that sweet spot. Don't do all the things. Like you shouldn't try to be on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest and podcasting and TikTok unless you have a team that's there supporting you. So you will go crazy if you try to do all those things and you're not going to be able to do any of them well. So pick one thing and get good at it and have that be like your zone of genius and just dive into that one thing. What is the best way to monetize my time? By putting content on my website to generate profit. So I wouldn't try to monetize your website through like ad spend or anything like that. The goal of the website and your content and putting it on there is to get people on your email list. And so when they're on your email list, that's when you can monetize. It's kind of like on the back end. Think of it like an iceberg. Like you don't see what's underneath the surface. And so you don't see all the marketing that's happening on that website. So create content, get them on your email list, and then you could book strategy calls or email to sign up for a webinar, whatever it is that you want to do to sell and generate profit. How do you determine which tasks are worth the time and effort and which ones aren't? I would look at the return on investment of that task. And so the return on investment of me creating a podcast and some kind of value driven content is much higher than me spending time creating graphics and trying to make them look perfect. And so typically the entrepreneur gets stuck in the next question was procrastination, gets stuck in procrastination of trying to make everything look perfect and like going over it over and over again and doing little time sucking tasks that really aren't necessary. And so think about what's the greatest return of your time investment. How are you going to get in front of your ideal client, add massive value to them, and get them on your email list? And so I would just create a list of what are all the tasks that you're doing in a day. What can you get rid of? What can you outsource? What needs to stay? And then you'll figure out over time. So we actually are starting to look at, what's the return on investment of our YouTube channel? What's the return on investment of our podcast? By surveying our audience and seeing where our high level clients coming from. They're not all coming from YouTube. A lot of them are coming from Pinterest and the podcast, which is really, really cool. Let me get a sip of my mushroom tea. That's good stuff. I swear it's so good. It's like hot chocolate. Okay. How to stop procrastinating. Just do the thing. There's a book from Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. Read that book and figure out what your frog is and do that frog before you do anything else in the day. That's my biggest piece of advice. When you open up, like get it done early because we have a certain amount of willpower each day. And the later in the day it is, the less willpower you're going to have to actually sit down and execute on the things that need to happen. So figure out what is that one thing that must happen today and how could you get it done earlier in the day before craziness of life and everything just happens. What are your best strategies for staying consistent with posting pins, content, podcasts, etc.? Okay, you got to have a schedule of what content is going out when. And so when I was solopreneuring it, before we had Lizzie on our team who does all of our social media management, I had like a schedule of, all right, this blog is going out on this date. And then I hired her right around the time, like right after I think our podcast came out. So I had podcasts in the queue. We have not missed a podcast episode since we started this like 2 years ago. Every single Monday, you're getting a new episode from us. We have probably at least 2-3 months worth of content. So we're never scrambling at the last minute trying to figure out, oh no, what are we going to post? I'm never uploading content in the minute. So I'm never like taking pictures and being like, oh, I'm going to post this to Instagram. Oh, I need to come up with a creative caption. Never. That never, ever, ever happens. We have a queue of content that is scheduled and like weeks in advance to go out. So be a planner, batch. I have a whole blog post. If you just Google Rachel and Ngom how to batch content, you'll find that. Batch and plan ahead. How much time did it take you to put everything in place? I'm still putting everything in place. You're never going to reach a time where you're like, oh, I'm just going to chill. I'm done. We're still making changes to our evergreen Pinterest webinar. We're still like hiring the right team members and hiring a sales director right now. So you never have everything in place. You're still like, I'm still working. I'm not just like sitting back and chilling doing nothing. I'm still doing work. It's fun work. But yeah, I don't have all the pieces in place. We're good, but we like if we want to grow, there's other things that need to happen. How to manage your time with a part-time job and an online side hustle that you want to grow. Biggest thing is figuring out again what needs to happen from you. What can you outsource? Can you take part of the money that you have from your online or from your part-time job to infuse it into your online side hustle by hiring a virtual assistant? That's going to help you grow so much faster to take some stuff off of your plate. And I would have a schedule. So I use Google Calendar and a planner. I love Chalene Johnson's push journals. And so I have on my calendar, like what is happening at what time of day. And then figure out, all right, if my side hustle is from, or if my part-time job is from like 8 to 11 every day, then my part-time side hustle that I want to grow is going to be from 12 to 5 or whatever that's going to look like. But actually have it on your calendar and have time set aside, because if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. Kind of like a workout, like you got to put on the calendar if you want it to happen. At what point did you outsource work? This frees you up to focus on other things. Did you do this before you made much money? How quickly did this happen to build your business? Yes. I did a lot of things in my business before I made a lot of money because I knew in my head that I was going to make a lot of money. I just had I had that knowing of this is going to happen. So I hired a wealth manager before we had wealth to manage. And it was just like, we're going to get the pieces in place. And it's good. We're going to make this happen. So yeah, I did start outsourcing before I was making a lot of money, and it helps you free up so much of your time and your mental energy to focus on other things. So the sooner you can do that, the better, for real. Let's see. How do you plan your day across all businesses, family, etc. for every part of your business? Calendar. I have everything on the calendar. So things are so different right now in our lives, having a baby and a kid and coronavirus and just everything is different. So it's hard to say like this is how it always is for me, because things are so just crazy right now. So things kind of happen. Like right now, I'm recording this podcast in the closet Monday at 5:37 p.m., which literally never happens. But this is the only time that it actually could happen. TJ is at a friend's house reading. My husband's walking the dog. I'm chilling with a sleeping baby. Like this is when it happened. Typically I get all my work done and I time block and I use Google Calendar and I try to put like, all right, I'm getting phone calls from this time to this time. So Michelle on our team, she handles my calendar and I tell her only book people on my calendar Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 3. So in a perfect world, that's when that happens. Is it like that all the time? No. But ideally, that's the chunk of time that is planned for me to either do podcast interviews or coaching calls or something like that. And then typically after that, like if TJ's in school, let's say he gets out at 3, then I'm done working and it's playtime. Um, so Google Calendar, figure out how can you time block, how can you make it happen, and just know like if you have little kids, things are crazy and it's never going to be perfect, but just do your best. When started as compared to now, how much of your time did it take? Where would you say beginners should start? I did work a lot more when I was first starting the business. And so TJ was 4 and he was going to school like pre-K, kindergarten. Eh. So I started it when we were living in America and he was going to school a couple hours a day. And then we moved to France and then he was in school basically full time. And so it was a lot easier for me to actually get work done than it is right now. So when he was at school, I was able to get a lot of work done. I want to say I was still working probably 40 hours a week. I didn't really track it as much. Now I'm working 15 hours a week, I would say. So I definitely worked a lot more in the beginning. And as we started to grow the business, I invested into hiring people on our team. So as we started to grow a little bit, I invested in hiring Ariana to do a lot of the like admin stuff and all the things, project management. As we started to grow even more, I hired Lizzie to do our social media and help us grow that way. So as your business grows, you'll be able to invest in people that'll help you grow even faster and take more off of your plate. So I hired a virtual assistant to start with, and then I hired like an executive virtual assistant who's more like a project manager. How many hours a day do you spend with your kids so you don't feel guilty and they have the quality time they need with you? Okay, this is a good question. And I don't track how much time I spend with the kids. It's more so how are they feeling and how do I feel about the time I'm spending with them? So I'm not working 24/7 and I don't work 24/7. I definitely have boundaries set up around that. Um, One of the things that I do quite frequently is I'll talk to our son. Again, he's 7, and I'll ask him, do you feel like we're spending enough time together? Because his love language is quality time. And so for him, it's really important that he gets mommy time. Typically when he says like, hey mommy, do you want to watch a movie with me, or hey mommy, do you want to go rollerblading, most of the time I just drop whatever I'm working on and I'm like, hey, yeah, let's go. Unless it's like a phone call or an interview that I have scheduled, I'll kind of drop everything because he's not going to be at that age forever where it's gonna be like, hey mommy, I want to hang out with you and do something fun with you. So I'm really trying to take advantage of those moments and not be like, mommy's busy working, I'll talk to you later, you know. um so I really try to make sure I get some good quality time with him at least a couple hours a day. It's not like I'm not spending all day with him. As long as we get like cuddle time, we went rollerblading. Maybe we go for a walk together in the morning. He likes it when his job is to walk our dog Toby, and so he likes it when I go with him with the baby. And a lot of times we'll go on like a date or we'll go to the market or something like that. So it's hard to say like how much time exactly I'm spending with them, but I feel like it's an appropriate amount of time, and I'll ask him, do you feel like we spend enough time together? And if not, he'll tell me. Um, and that's a good gauge for me. Anyways, how do you get work done with little kids at home without neglecting self-care? It's not easy, but if you can get some help from the husband, today I went and got a facial. Um, and I was able to do a little bit of yoga when she fell asleep in the car. She's not napping unless she's on me like this most of the time. So that makes it challenging to do a lot of self-care stuff. So if I'm gonna like do a workout, typically I'll be like, husband, watch the baby, I'm gonna go spin. Um, or I'll put her in her like little baby gym and we'll do yoga together. So I do my best. And when I put her in the baby gym, that's when I get stuff done and get work done. She's breastfeeding. So I'll literally, and I did this with my son, I'll put her on the boob and I'll prop up my computer and I'll just get so much work done while she's nursing. So do your best. Do your best. And getting a baby carrier, especially if you like your kids are this little, this is the Ergo 360, I think, game changer. How do you prioritize and juggle it all and remember all the balls you have in the air? You're many years younger than I am, so remembering how may be an issue. I write it down. So if it's not like on the calendar, it's not going to happen. So I have like events in the calendar of this is happening at this specific time. Where is it happening? And then I also put like reminders in the calendar as well. So like reminder on Friday to go do this thing. And then I have a to-do list to remind me of all the things that need to happen. So I'm like, all right, we need to get her a passport, which happened today. Well, we didn't get it. We applied for it. So weird. Like all of us wearing masks, not her. Going in to get her passport, which will take like 3 to 4 months to actually get. But I write it down. So I have a to-do list of like, all right, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. If I don't write it down, it's not happening. So Google Calendar, to-do list, planner, figure out what works for you. Okay. How do you run a business you're excited about while also ensuring that your kids don't feel bad about you working a lot? Again, just make sure that you make the kids a priority and you're not working 24/7 and you set up boundaries for yourself. So, what is your hours? When you work from home, it's really easy to just take your computer with you and you're always working, but have set business hours. I'm working from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day. Like, don't disturb me during this time if you can. If you're like, husband, I need this block of time, see if you can make that happen. If not, do your best. I don't have that luxury as of right now, but when she gets a little bit older, maybe that'll happen. Also, weekends are completely off. I do not work at all on the weekends. So like nothing. So making sure you're taking weekends off. And then the next 2 weeks, my family will actually be in town, which is crazy. They're actually driving from Chicago. My brother has not met baby yet. So that'll be really fun to get to spend 2 weeks with them. So I put on my calendar family time. So Michelle knows like not to schedule anything that's not already on my calendar. I have like a few things that I'm going to be doing. But for the most part, like how can I just unplug and really enjoy this time that I get to spend with family? How to be more effective so I can earn more and work less. Figure out when your most productive hours are. So for me, it's in the morning. Right now, 5:45. I'm dragging a little bit. I probably don't have as much energy as I normally do, but I'm trying. So figure out when your most effective hours are. For me, if I wake up, if she sleeps, when she sleeps through the night, and I can start getting back into like waking up at 5, that's like my peak time and I get so much done and I feel so good. So you hear that? You need to start sleeping a little bit more and then mommy will feel really good. So when are your most peak times? Use a timer. So set the Pomodoro timer. You can just Google Pomodoro timer and you'll find it and figure out, all right, start time, end time, then get up, walk around, take a 5-minute break, start time, end time. Do that a couple times in a day. You'll get so much done. Put your phone away, put it on silent, get rid of all the notifications. I don't even have my phone in the room with me right now. So get rid of the phone. I don't have any notifications turned on for anything except like text messaging, phone calls, and I don't even hear like dings or anything. And when we make money, so that's a fun reminder. Okay, Pomodoro timer. Figure out your most effective times, and oh, if you're working on your computer, obviously close out of all other browsers so you don't see them. So you shouldn't be logged into Facebook and email all day throughout the day. So I actually give a challenge to our Activate students. This week, I want you to do your one thing before you check Facebook and email, and I only want you to check Facebook and email once in the afternoon. Imagine how much they got done that week. So that's a good challenge for you. How do you keep your business organized and streamlined, Ariana? um, yeah, she does a lot for organization's sake. She definitely she's everything. But if it were just me, it'd be Google Calendar, having systems set up in place. So we use Trello and Asana. You don't have to use both. I would just use Trello if it's just you, as you have more of a team. Then Asana's a good project management platform. And then just see what can you systematize. So like using Calendly instead of going back and forth through email of like, all right, we're going to set up a time to talk at this time. No, I'm too busy, yada, yada. So just figure out like what are things that you can systematize. So like setting up appointments, you can systematize. All those different things. Just figure out what it is that you're doing in your business over and over and over again and be like, can we create a system for this? So that's actually something I tasked to our team is for every single thing that they're doing right now to create a system around it so anyone could do it. So yes. Okay. How do you find the time to just start and write content or build your product? Just start. Like it's never going to be the perfect time, and it's never going to be perfect. Please don't look at your course or your product or whatever that might be a million times so it's 100% perfect before you launch it, because it's going to take you a million years to build your business. If your course is perfect when you launch it, you waited too long to launch it. Okay, so go for 80% is good enough, and I'll just make it better as we go. Okay, how do you work so little and achieve so much? Having a rock star team, systems, batching content, and staying in my zone of genius, not trying to be everywhere and do everything. How do you not get sidetracked by all the things? Prioritize and figure out what needs to happen and what can I get rid of. A good list, we had our Activate students at this past retreat. What can you stop doing? What can you delegate? What can you completely get off your list? So make a list of everything you're doing in your business and figure out what can I delegate? What can I stop doing? And how do I organize myself on a daily basis in order to make money? Get a planner and use Google Calendar. Biggest takeaways from today. You guys had so many great questions on productivity. I'll be doing some more. I still have a ton of questions I want to answer. I think the next one we'll do will be mindset. So I'm excited to dive into that. I hope this helps you with productivity just to get more done. If you haven't yet grabbed a copy of my free Pinterest cheat sheet, just make sure to go to pinwithrachel.com to grab that, and I'll teach you 10 smart strategies to get more leads using Pinterest. I was just looking at my fitness account and everything. It's crazy. I haven't touched that blog, that business in over 2 years. Haven't touched the Pinterest, haven't touched the blog, nothing. It's still driving traffic, still making sales. Mind blowing. So you need Pinterest in your life. Go to pinwithrachel.com to grab that Pinterest cheat sheet. And if you haven't yet left a review of the show, I would greatly appreciate it. That's what helps us reach more people and make a greater impact. So go leave a review and just tell me what's a topic you would like me to cover on the podcast. All right, we're gonna go do some stuff and get ready for bed. 6 o'clock, it's time to get ready for bed. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later.